Okay, let's get this set up. I'm going to try to make this a short, somewhat sweet video about the tricopter that I built, and the reason I built it the way I did. First of all, let me get my other camera going. Besides, I'm testing it as well. Make sure it's lined up so that it kind of shows what's going on. There we go. Anyhow, I made a few videos of flying this thing, and it's been awesome. An awesome flyer. But I wanted to kind of give an idea of people. I haven't really showed it off. Let's get rid of this. This is something I'm going to work on before I take it out for its final flight. I plan on doing one more flight with this thing. I wanted to show it off a little bit so that people know how I built it. I kind of followed David Winstall's ideas with the wooden booms, and the landing gear is wood. I built that out of wood, mostly for breakaway reasons, and it works great. I have barely had any damage on this thing at all on the crashes that I've been on. I have set it up for FPV. I got a 200 milliwatt transmitter with Fat Shark antennas. I built this makeshift gimbal with the intent on using gravity to level it. Last time I tried it, I had problems because of the wires right here. I had all 4 wires still connected to this connector, so it didn't give enough, which is something you might want to consider. So right now all I've got is video hooked to it, the video and ground wire. When I built this thing, I built it basically around this KK2 board. I figured for $27, I think is what I paid for the KK2 board. I mean, it's definitely a cheap way to go, as you can see. Easy to program, easy to change. I went with the 4,000 milliamp per hour battery, which I probably didn't need to do. But I get 12-minute, 15-minute flight times out of it, which is great. It's a little heavy because of the battery. But basically I just wanted to show the actual build, which is a little bit, it's kind of crappy looking. I got all the wires on the outside with the booms. Of course, you have to with wood. And I use this nifty little packaging that they gave me for the KK2 board to hold it in place, which works awesome. And basically all I did was fasten this to my plate, and if you look down in the corner, I don't know if you can see it or not, a little bit of hot glue in each corner just to hold the board into the foam. And then I put Velcro on the outside here and here for my fancy little cover that I made. And this is just mostly for, orientation. And what I do is I Velcro that in place, and I put a little zip tie right there so that it don't go nowhere. And if you've ever watched any of my videos, you've noticed there's a loud vibration noise. Well, I've determined that that's not from the quadcopter itself. That's actually from this stupid cover, because this thing sits right above the camera and resonates. And of course the Mobius camera has sound on it, and that's what I use on here, which as soon as I get my gimbals in is going to change. I'm going to start using the SJ4000 for my video, this is going to be the last flight. I do believe I'm going to do one more flight. I've gotten 9 flights out of it so far. Let's leave that off because I'm going to do a setup for this last flight. And I just wanted to show everybody what I built and how it's working out. I need to tighten those up a little bit, I see, but basically that's just foam sandwiched in between. I built this little bracket right here so that it's attached to the battery, so that it's not actually hooked to the quadcopter itself. But some of the simple little items that I use for, well, like my little tray for my battery for vibration dampening. I use these, I don't know, you've seen these before at the hobby shop. Golden rods. And basically all I did was I just took little pieces of this and sandwiched them in there instead of doing solid wire, which does a pretty well job. And also I used a hollow piece of this for my antenna, so it's nice and solid. So when I zip tie this on here, there's no actual strain on the antenna itself. It's just this wire. It's actually zip tied to the antenna post, which is hot glue, or no, it's epoxied, I think, into there. But yeah, I'm using a 4,000 milliamp per hour battery. And you're probably wondering what this little weight is. When I put my Mobius on here, all that is a counterweight, and you can adjust that counter, that weight. You can actually adjust the, let's get that out of the way. You can actually adjust the angle of the camera by changing this weight, by moving it up or down and pinning it in place. You know, like with a piece of, I'll say a toothpick or something, like you do when you're fishing. That's basically what that is, a fishing weight. But yeah, my gimbal's just a simple little deal. It's just got 2 hinge points, one there, and then one this way. And when you got weight on it, the gravitational pull actually is what causes the camera to stay level. And I'm going to test that out for the last time after this flight. This is all coming apart. I'm using the little micro receiver, which is not real great because I can't use my telemetry on my radio. I did buy another receiver for my final build, but this is the radio I'm using. It's a high-tech 6-channel. It works great. I wish I would have bought something a little bit better because I plan on building a quad after I do these the rebuild on this tricopter. And I've got almost all the pieces, parts. I'm going to go with the APM board on the next build. And here's the beginning of it. The wood beams in there right now are not going to stay there. I've actually got woohoo, carbon fiber. Yes. And oh, another thing I recommend, if you build one of these out of wood like I did, these wooden motor mounts are just wooden rings kind of that hold the motor in place, and they're just glued on and then zip tied to these extra pieces here. I recommend, if you do it like this, make sure you epoxy these well. I've had one of these come loose during a crash. It hasn't come loose in flight yet. Matter of fact, before I fly this again, I want to re-glue them just to make sure. So far the only thing that's broke are the landing gear, and I popped the motor off once, and you've seen the video, I think, if you've been watching my videos, where it did a backflip. But anyhow, I've actually changed that design a little bit. I've made some of these little motor mounts. I don't know if you can see them with this brown rug I'm using, or whatever it is on the bed. But that's what this one is here. And basically it just zip ties to the beam. And also on this new build, which is going to have carbon fiber beams, and it will be foldable. That one there was foldable, but I used cheap wood right here. This plywood is not very thick or not very heavy, which worked out good because it was breakaway. So if I crashed, it didn't do a lot of damage. It took a lot of brunt of the impact, and it's just easy to glue back together. But on this one here, thanks to the flight test buddies, I now have a different type of swivel. This is one of their latest designs, and they guarantee this, they say, for a couple years, you know, under regular use. I mean, it's not like they did and shot it out of a potato gun or something into a block. But yeah, this is going to be on the tail end of this, and I'm actually thinking about designing something so that that's lower. I noticed Eric built a tricopter, and he actually had a mount that was built so that instead of sitting on top of the rail, it actually sit like right there. You know, to keep the height of that rear motor from being so high. On this one here, I built my own using David Winstall's idea, you know, with the landing gear thing. It works well, except for I'm just afraid I don't know, it doesn't bind, but I think it's a little tighter than it should be. Probably working that servo a little more than it should. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. And that's a high-tech Metal Gear servo, but still, I've heard horror stories about stripping out the spline here, you know, because of the pressure. It takes a lot of torque to turn that thing. But anyhow, I'm upgrading everything pretty much for my final build on the tricopter. I do plan on changing this idea. I've got all my speed controls out on the ends of my booms on these, and this one I got actually zip tied to the landing gear back here, which I plan on changing. What I want to do, I want to build a power distribution board internally in between these two plates, and I'm actually going to mount my speed controls underneath this plate down inside of here, and that way there I can solder everything to the control board, or the distribution board. So my booms will have 3 wires going through each one of these booms, and that's it. Everything else is going to be under here. That'll help keep all the weight towards the center. Center line is like right there, I do believe. But yeah, I just wanted to show off what I was building, and show a little bit more detail about the quadcopter that I have been out flying. I've got 9 flights out of it so far. I figured I'd do 10 flights, and then I'd do my new build. This one here, and this is the plates for it. And of course it's a rough draft. Oh, and this is the landing gear that I kind of designed out for it, because I want the height, because this build's going to have a gimbal on it, an actual gimbal, which are on order, but I haven't got them yet. So there's going to be actually a gimbal here. So I needed extra height, and it's going to have a couple rails, you know, kind of like a regular helicopter setup. But I figure that'll give me a little bit more springiness if I hit the ground a little harder. And then with these rails on here on both sides, it'll be a little stronger, and it gives me the height that I need for my gimbal, hopefully. Although I could use a little bit more height, I think. But you know, like, this is going to be kind of a prototype too. This is my prototype 1, all wood. I didn't build anything out of this hardened plastic, and it flies pretty dang good. I'm really happy with it. The KK2 board, amazing. It's so simple to set up. A little bit of research on the internet, and there's a lot of people out there that build them with KK2s, so it's easy to follow instructions and you know, get your setups done. I mean, I've even got my voltage thing hooked up so that it actually tells my voltage on here on my batteries, and I've also got a low voltage alarm buzzer right here. Although you probably can't hear it when these motors are running, but I put it in there anyhow because it had the option. But yeah, I'm getting it set up for its final flight today. As soon as I get everything finished, which is, I need to do my Velcro on here, on my cover, so that I can put my cover on. And I want to re-glue these motor mounts a little bit better with some epoxy. But yeah, so far I'm pretty happy with it. Oh, and one thing I'd like to mention, if you go in here when you're doing, if you're building one of these things, and you're doing setup on this KK2 board, take your props off. I had an incident one day when I was setting up my KK2 board. What I was doing was setting up the Simon K speed controls. You know, I was doing the thing where you push the two outside buttons and you plug it in and blah blah blah. It's supposed to do an automatic deal. Well, luckily I had my hand over it and I was like this, I think, or something, and I had pushed the buttons, and when I plugged it in, all three motors came spun up full speed. And luckily my hand was over top of it, and what I did, panicky, I pushed down on it automatically, so I didn't leave the bed, I didn't leave the ground or whatever, but I did break one of these plates here. But, you know, it didn't turn into a fiasco. I mean, if I hadn't had a hold of it, that thing could have got away from me real easy in this room. So, when you're setting up one of these boards, make sure you take your props off. It's so easy for these things to do weird stuff. I hadn't expected that to happen. You know, setting up the speed controls, that seems like the only time you have issues with it. But still, just be safe. You get three props spinning around like that, and it can get pretty hazardous in a hurry. How did that happen? That's weird. It got turned around somehow, and I didn't turn it around. Well, am I losing my mind or what? Oh, new puzzle. Anyhow, just so you know, be extremely cautious when you set these boards up. This one here set up good, I think, right now. I haven't had to do anything but a few minor changes. Okay, let's make sure everything's set up. There you go. She's ready to fly. But there you have it. She is almost ready to fly, except for a few minor things, and I'm going to go take it out one more time today, and then she's going to all come apart. I'm going to try the goggles today, probably. I haven't flown it in a while because outside it's been real windy, and me being a novice pilot, well, that's another thing. If it's windy outside, know your limitations. I have an announcement to make. I had purchased one of those X5 C, Sima, little quadcopters for practice. Well, it got away from me. I had my first flyaway in 40 years of RC, so don't let that happen. I suggest don't waste your money on one of those. If you're going to buy one for practice or whatever, get one that has return to home. Just so you know, if you lose signal, that it's actually going to come back towards you. My problem was that little quadcopter was so light, and it wasn't but a 5 to 10 mile an hour breeze, but once it got a little gusty, man, that wind picked that thing up and took it away. And another thing, the range on it was so sketchy that I think I got 80 meters out or so and lost signal, and by that time it was too late. I couldn't get it back. It flew away. I did go out looking for it. I seen it go down about 3-4 blocks away from my house, and I searched and I searched and I searched, and I never did find it. So that's a total loss. But that happens. I have the transmitter. Anybody need a transmitter? Anyhow, I just wanted to do a little video to show what I was doing, kind of highlight my wonderful quadcopter that, thank you David for showing me how to build. That's where I got most of my, as you can see, ideas from. But I plan on flying it one more time, and then it's off to the big guy. And then once I get this assembled, I've actually ordered all the parts to build a quad, a big quad. Oh, that's something I wanted to mention too. These motors are awesome. I haven't had a bit of trouble with them yet. The Emax, I think it's a 2213 935 kVs. Very nice motor, very powerful. They seem to do a really good job. I think they're turning a, let's see, what is it? Turning a 10-inch prop, a 10-inch 4.5, I believe they are, 4.5. But yeah, it's definitely going to be pretty decent once I get all this stuff set up on the other quad. You know, so I'm going to go there. Anyhow, I just wanted to make a video of it, just to let everybody see what an awesome quad this is, or I mean tricopter that is. And of course I got FPV and all that set up, and now I'm starting to babble. But once I get this little guy done, this is going to be kind of a, a camera platform. And I plan on building a quad with a camera platform. I've actually ordered 2 gimbals, one for each of them. And I've got a new board coming, not the K5, I think I mentioned earlier. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this short and go ahead and finish getting this ready, and hopefully I'll get flight number 10 out of it without too much trouble. And if I do, I'll get some video up to follow up this video. How's that? But yeah, I want to thank everybody out there in the internet land. The hobby is awesome. There's so many great tips if you get on YouTube and follow people and you know, share information. This is the kind of stuff you can do, and I'm really happy with it. I just my prototype's going to go away after today probably, and I think I might do a build video so I can show you and highlight the differences between that one and this one. I might even do a disassemble video on this one, although there's not much to show except for unplugging everything and whatnot. Who knows, I might take the spare wood off of this and build a mini quad or something. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me for the few minutes that I had. Well, and for you people out there, see this tape measure? It has inches on one side, it has metric on the other. Us Americans, we use metric too. Matter of fact, all my rulers are that way. And 9 times out of 10 I use the metric side. The inches side I do if I'm doing carpentry. Building a workbench or a shed or something like that. But yeah, okay. Enjoy, everybody. I hope it's been somewhat informative. I haven't showed off the tricopter yet, and I figured this would be a good time before I disassemble it and start doing a build on this one. This is just temporarily assembled right now just to show off. I was designing the landing gear part of it and the clamp downs. And that's pretty strong. There's 2 bolts holding it down. When I assemble this, I'll show you the bends that I made to get this configuration. I don't have a pattern or anything made up. I kind of just eyeballed it and measured it and then set them side by side, you know, and compared them and bent them so that they're the same. When I get done, they're going to have probably some of these wooden rails underneath here going across. I thought about just doing like some foam pieces like I used here, but I noticed this foam is not very strong, which I need to strengthen up before I go fly again. Which I kind of wanted it to be a little bit weak, but it's a little weaker than I wanted. It actually bends too much, but I can strengthen that up just by putting a little bit of that tape around it. A little bit more tape around. I put tape on it so it doesn't soak up any dirt and stuff. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and shut her down. And if you're watching my video and you like my video, hit that like button. I'm looking for more subscribers and more like people. I know I haven't explained a whole lot. Basically just what I'm up to. Some of the design ideas, most all of them are from other people. There's one idea that I want to do that I don't know if it's going to work or not. I'm thinking about building some sort of a swivel for the beam, the boom itself. But I don't know. We'll see. You all have a good day, and I want to thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next vid. Hopefully it'll be a nice aerial video. You all have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.